Hey everybody, thanks for tuning in again for another CineNerds episode. I'm James.
I'm JP.
And I'm Ryan.
And today, we're going back.
We're watching Scream.
JP's pick, 1996, the original. Which, I'm one thing I will say about this franchise of films. I like how it was like bang, 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 and then they're like, let's take a break. Then it did one, and there's like, okay, bang, bang, bang. Like, it wasn't like 7 movies in like 10 years. It was like Fast and Furious where it's like, will you fucking stop it already?
It was basically every decade. It was kind of
a new trilogy.
Yeah. I can appreciate that. That. I have not seen a lot of these, to be honest with you. I have seen the first one before we did this. It was nice to rewatch it again because I didn't remember the whole storyline, to be honest.
The thing about this series is the first one is by far, leaps and bounds, the best.
For sure.
For sure. No question. I don't think anybody who's ever seen all these films can deny how good this particular movie is, especially in comparison to the rest of them. Because two's not bad. 3, oh my God, 3 has so many issues. But it's bonkers. It's such a mess, and it makes it bonkers that it makes it great.
Have you ever had Bonkers candy?
I have had Bonkers
those.
candy.
I haven't had those in a long time. Sorry, go ahead.
The fourth one, I enjoyed the fourth one, and the whole reboot series that's happening, that's started to happen a few years ago. I've enjoyed them. I think there's a lot of missed opportunities in them, but I've enjoyed them. What I do like about all of them, though, and I don't know if you've ever thought about this, is every one of these films for me is a slasher horror version of Scooby-Doo.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
I'll give you that.
With Matthew Lillard.
With Matthew Lillard.
In the first one, sorry.
Yeah. So, that's one thing I love about
it.
And
I love Matthew Lillard.
He's become a notable, like, kind of, I don't know, underground actor, if you will, iconic in that regard. Like, they're major roles, but they're like...
He's easily forgotten for some reason in
Yeah,
those roles. Like my favorite line ever of any of his movies, Without a Paddle.
I remember that, yeah.
I'm feeling woozy here. That's mine.
But it wasn't his line, but the whole scene when he's like, not until he puts Jabba back in the hut. Like,
the fuck do you know
Without
about
a
that?
Paddle.
That didn't even make sense to you. That's a foreign language to you. You're talking Star Wars.
That's a Star Wars reference.
Jabba the Hutt's the reason why I won't watch that shit.
At 6:14 p.m. on Sunday the 25th of February, James
made a Star Wars reference.
What? Thank you, Sari. Sure thing, she said.
Sure thing.
Well, and Matthew Lillard's done a lot of films that I love, though. He's done Hackers. He did SLC Punk.
Oh, my God.
SLC Punk is amazing.
Dude, that movie... there's so much about that movie that's amazing.
13 Ghosts.
By the way, it's finally happening. We're finally getting a series based on each ghost.
Well, I've still not seen a confirmation. I've seen where they're
saw it yesterday.
Did you?
Yes.
Because everything I've read is just they're presenting it to try to get it made.
I think they presented it and it's got a green light.
So yeah, I hadn't seen where it actually got a green light yet, but maybe. If you don't know what we're talking about the 13 Ghosts series that has been rumored for a while.
I liked him in Five Nights at Freddy's. The whole movie itself, I'd rather watch Willy's Wonderland.
Yeah,
but I thought he did a really good job in the movie.
I think we had that conversation that Five Nights at Freddy, I enjoyed it, but however, I would just as soon watch Willy's Wonderland because it's a better movie.
It really was.
Dark Castle Entertainment is developing it.
Okay.
Sorry, you said Five Nights at Freddy's?
Yes.
I just watched that because of my son. And while it was nothing magical by any means, he definitely stole the show for that.
Oh, he was the best thing about it.
Yeah.
But I would rather watch Willy's Wonderland.
I still haven't seen Willy's Wonderland. I gotta watch
What?
I've seen Willy's Wonderland twice.
On my recommendation.
That's why I had hope in the beginning. He did that, and then he did Fat Man, and I'm like, it's not going to be as bad as everybody says.
I'm gonna talk about what will have to happen before I watch Willy's Wonderland. I had an incident happen yesterday where I had my vape cart. I had it next to a heater, like a little desk heater, to heat up, and I didn't realize how thin it made the oil within the vape.
Oh, yeah.
And it went all over the pen.
Yeah.
And
leak out.
I didn't know. I reached over to grab it.
Never leave that in your car in the summer.
Yeah, that too. But I reached over to grab it, and all of the oil went on my finger, and that oil does not come off, and I didn't know. And so, like a dumbass, like, I'm just trying to get it off. Like, so I didn't even think about it, and I wasn't at home. And then all of a sudden, like 2 seconds later, I'm like, I need to go home immediately. That was concentrated THC. I need to go. So I feel like I need to have that mindset to watch Willy's Wonderland.
No, you don't.
No?
You just need to know that this is Nick Cage at his finest.
Yeah.
Okay. I also still have to, if we're going back to Nick Cage for a moment, I have to
I have so many.
finish watching the Unbearable whatever with
I
Pedro
need
Pascal.
to watch that.
Oh, that's
the
good.
Retirement Plan I need to watch.
Mom and Dad.
Mom and Dad I definitely need to watch.
Mom and Dad's so
like
good.
I might just on this next
All right,
one
all right.
just go down a rabbit
and I
hole.
will say,
we
These
can
guys-
do a whole
yeah,
episode
they
of
can
Nick
do a
Cage.
whole episode of Nick
Yeah.
Cage. So let's get
My
back to
blanket,
Scream.
my blanket is Nick Cage. If we haven't said this in my bunk for touring, like it's him coming out of a banana in a galaxy background.
It's weird. You're always trying to get the banana. Not get out.
Mom and Dad is on my list of movies
Not
to
for you.
watch. Though.
Not for you.
But
Nine.
Mom and Dad is on my list of movies for us to watch. So
All right, well then, just pick it so I can get it over with. Scream, 1996.
Yes.
Scream.
Jesus, that was a dolphining moment for all three of us.
Let's do this. So here's the thing. A lot of big names.
But at the time, these names were not that big.
Yes, they were.
Not all of them.
Courtney Cox,
Courtney Cox was.
Arquette.
Courtney Cox.
Arquette, Nev Campbell,
She was.
Lillard.
So Nev Campbell, though, at this time I didn't almost go see the film because of her, because I hated how whiny she was in Party of Five. All the people on Party of Five were whiny.
Never watched it.
Holy shit! When I did
Get you
see
some
this,
wings.
but when I did see this, I was so wrong. And Nev Campbell is now easily a great scream queen.
But at the time, the biggest name in this movie, and it was been said in every interview, was Drew Barrymore.
And she
Drew
went
Barrymore.
first.
And
Well,
and that was the big thing.
I have something to talk about with that.
Was the trailers at the time were all promoted that Drew Barrymore was the star of this film, and it led
For
you
the
to
first
believe.
5 minutes.
Led you to believe.
But
to
that was the problem. So, and the it's so weird. So, movies like The Terrifier started out as a short film, right?
Yep.
So when I saw the first trailer and Drew Barrymore was all they focused on in this trailer, I was like, this is going to be cool. This is going to be good. All right, cool. And you get there, and that's literally a short story told within the first 10 minutes. And you're like, well, what are they going to do with the rest of the movie? You're baffled at that moment, and it's fucking
because
amazing.
they killed the big name actress in the film within the first 5 minutes of the film, which I loved. I thought that is one of the coolest
I
things.
was never
Even
a huge Barrymore fan. So whenever she goes, I'm kind of like...
I wasn't a big fan of hers either. However, even at the time when I watched this and it came out in the 90s, I was like, well, I know who Drew Barrymore is, and to kill her off in the first 5 minutes of the film, it was just like, I like where this film's going.
I like Skeet Ulrich.
I like Skeet Ulrich.
But that's a Wes Craven. I think that's a Wes Craven thing. He did that with that intention, I feel. But rewind
Actually,
here.
I have a fun fact about that.
Okay, go ahead.
It was Drew Barrymore's idea. She was originally cast as Sydney. She was originally cast as Sydney, and she said that she thought it would make the movie better to give her the part at the beginning and kill her off at the beginning of the film because it would be more impactful. People were not going to expect her to be killed.
I wasn't expecting it. Yeah.
But yeah, I read an article that said that Drew Barrymore, actually, it was her idea.
So,
and that she was a silent producer on the film.
Obviously, there's E.T. And Firestarter. The original Firestarter were amazing in movies that I knew her from. And I loved her as an actress. I thought she was cool. I mean, granted, that was when she was a kid, but holy hell, when we were all the same age as her now, growing up, and I see her in the beginning of that movie, I was like, what's up? it was a little something nice, you know? It was a little nice, extra.
So, Rose McGowan
Oh, yeah.
was in this also. I didn't
Yeah.
mean to mention her.
Yeah.
Garage Door going. Yeah.
Now,
And this-
all of them, like, here's the thing, all of them have had great, like, I watched David Arquette, that special he did, where, he's talking about wanting to be a wrestler and how they didn't take him serious when he did win it for the couple weeks he had
The
it.
I Am David Arquette.
Yeah,
I
and
watched
that was really good.
Yeah.
Like, you actually feel for the guy, because he was serious, and
Yeah.
nobody took him serious. But it's funny, because I didn't realize it, and I need to go back and watch, because I caught pieces of this show, but the Riverdale show, have you ever seen
I've seen some. I haven't watched
it? Was
all
a
of it,
really
but yeah.
good show. It really was. I mean, I like more hour-long
It
shows
got
that you can just binge.
It got good reviews, and I know the Sabrina reboot was in that same universe.
Yes.
and
Yes, I've watched both.
I love the Sabrina.
So back to the
I like
Riverdale
Skeet.
though.
I like Skeet in that.
Well, yeah, he's
was
got
great.
a great role in that,
Great.
but
He plays it
also
great.
I will give respect to that show fully because the cast was all very, very intertwined with Matthew Perry. Not Matthew Perry. Jesus, wrong,
Luke
wrong.
Perry.
Luke Perry.
Luke Perry.
Wrong Perry
Yeah.
death. Luke Perry, when he passed away on the show, he was a main character, and the way they rolled forward with the following season, I thought it was done so tastefully and so
Agreed.
great that
I did see that part.
it warmed
I need
my
to
heart.
start it over.
It was
and
good.
I think you'd like it. If you're looking for something to just binge,
I thought about
You'd really
watching
like
it
it.
because I loved the Sabrina reboot, and it was part of the same universe. And I thought the Sabrina reboot was amazing. So, and that's when I finally was at one point. I was like, I really need to watch Riverdale.
yeah, I'd recommend it.
I've got to finish the 100. Then I'm going to rewatch the League, and then I'm going to watch. You won't know this one, Jujutsu Kaisen, the anime.
yeah,
My
yeah.
son,
God bless you.
my son keeps telling me to watch it, and I'm
Yeah,
going to give it a
my
go.
son's a bit. I bought him all a bunch of the mangas for Christmas because that was one of the things he asked for.
So
So
I am reading this here, and it says the involvement of Barrymore and Cox helped secure more support from the studio. The principal photography took place in April to June of '96 in California on a $15 million budget, but Craven trimmed down the violence in the film after his involved in intense conflict with the Motion Picture Association of America over the desired R rating. So he had to actually bring it back,
yeah.
which I find crazy to me because there's really not a lot compared to some of the shit that you guys watch now.
Well, but at the
But,
time,
like, what was Hobo with the shotgun rating?
yeah. But the thing was,
That's R.
That's R?
Yeah.
That's nothing compared to this.
But you got to understand at the
gore and
time,
violence, yeah, it is.
at the time in the 80s and
I'm
90s,
saying, like, this was nothing.
but at the time in the 80s and 90s, they were very hard on slasher films, and they made them. You go back to, I think it was Friday the 13th Part 6. There's hardly any blood in it at all because they were so hard on them.
That's also the era of Clintons and Gores trying to censor everything
Yeah.
from
That's
our
true.
CDs.
I forgot about that.
You know, I guess back then it
I
was
was
CDs and
just
cassettes.
young enough that like
Yeah.
I was just like whatever.
Yeah, they censored them hardcore back then. So, like, what would be... I mean, if the original Scream came out now, it would probably be rated PG-13. Let's just be real.
Oh, yeah, for
I
sure.
mean,
I
it
agree with
probably would.
Because there was really not that much.
No.
I mean, yeah, it
Just
really.
sex, multiple stabbings, blood. You know,
and
lots of swear
once
words.
again, you guys got no boobs.
We got...
I got a
we
side boob from Neff Campbell.
And we got Rose McGowan, like, in cold air, in a skin-tight shirt.
Jesus Christ.
You mean a well-temperatured set?
Very well.
All
So
right.
the next scene, and I want to ask you guys this. So the next scene is Skeet Ulrich's character Billy shows up at Nev Campbell's Sydney bedroom, knocks on her window, comes in, she screams, it startles her. Her dad tries to come in, he hides, blah blah blah. So this whole scene, you know. I love the part where, and a lot of people I've heard talk about this in this scene, where Billy goes, I was at home watching the TV version of The Exorcist. It got me thinking of you, which was just a very weird thing to say to your girlfriend. Say, The Exorcist made me think of you. But
I've only seen that once.
I've always noticed that this song was playing in this moment, in this scene. And it's an acoustic version of Don't Fear the Reaper. But I never thought about it until this watch. Was that Wes Craven telling us that Billy was the killer?
Probably.
With Don't Fear the Reaper being
Maybe in a
played
subtle way, yeah.
in a subtle kind of way.
But I feel like that's also I feel like the way he delivers it, if he does it acoustically, that he's doing it like in a passive aggressive kind of way, where he's saying, "Hey, this guy could be one of your people that would be the killer." Because that's one of the best parts about this movie is the first time I watched it, the nonstop guessing. It literally made me think through every possible motive, and every time I thought I had the person pinpointed, they'd steer me wrong in a different direction, and I'd be like, "Wait a minute, well, what about that one? What about that one?" And I love that part.
And that's what I loved about the movie.
Since you're talking about music, though, because I haven't seen this in so long, the Peaky Blinders song kept coming on, and I was like, yeah.
Is that the
I don't know who it is.
It's either Tom Waits or I can't remember the woman. It's all right. I want to say it's like Red Room by Tom Waits, or he's gonna look it up. Go ahead. What else you got?
So, from there,
song by Georgie K's Big TV Orchestra.
Oh, interesting.
So from there, you got the kids going to school the following day. They find out the classmate's been murdered, which was Drew Barrymore's character. The news are all laid out there. You find out that Courtney Cox's character had did a report and wrote a book about Sydney's mother's death, her murder, that she had died the previous year. So Sydney does not like Courtney Cox's character at all. So they kind of have a little bit of a spat, but...
Well, the reason that spat happened was because the town has painted Sydney's father as the murderer, and I think some of the things that happened those next few days in school are lines along the... Essentially, people saying she probably went crazy like her father, and she probably killed her, just doing those things, so...
At this point, Sydney actually gets attacked. It goes to later that night. Sydney gets attacked by Ghostface Killer at her house. She's talking to him on the phone because that's the thing he calls. You want to play a game,
No, I don't know. Tell me more.
What's your favorite horror film, Ryan?
Go ahead. Well done.
You didn't answer me. I asked a question.
It's Hellraiser 2.
Wow. Wasn't expecting that one. Okay. Carry on. So Sydney's outside saying, "Oh, so you can see me," and, "Well, what am I doing?" And she starts, picking her nose and laughing. The killer attacks her, which she runs upstairs, which is one thing that she made fun of. It was like, the dumb girl always runs up the stairs to the front door. Well, she ends up locking the front door, then turns around and runs upstairs, does exactly what she was making fun of. But she goes to her room, gets on her computer, and dials 911 from the computer, which I did not know was a thing. I don't even remember that being a thing back then. But
and it's like a 45-second turnaround time, by the way.
Yeah. The cops are there. She dials 911, and then within 60 seconds, Dewey's at her front door. Mm-hmm. But her boyfriend Billy shows up through the window the same way he got in the night before.
To the window, to the wall.
So they arrest him because he drops his cell phone. So it's leading you to believe that Billy is the Ghostface Killer. They're at the precinct going through the motions, checking his cell phone. He's locked up. Sydney goes to leave. Courtney Cox's character follows her to the back of the police station, and this is where she runs up to Sydney, and Sydney says, "Oh, I see your book is about to come out." She goes, "Yeah, I'll send you a copy." And Sydney punches Courtney Cox's character. And that goes into the whole thing. One of my favorite lines in the movie is when they get back to the Rose McGowan's character's house, and Rose McGowan's laying there going, "I'll send you a copy." Bam! Lights go out. "I'll send you a copy." Bam! Super bitch.
Okay.
You remember that?
Nope.
You don't remember? You just
I remember
watched
I
it,
did,
but
but
hearing him do it makes me cringe.
Yeah, it was a little rough. It was a little leaving us lacking. Yeah.
Well, that's what it sounded like.
I think it was much hotter the way they said. Well, I mean, my skin crawled a little bit. You don't have the proper temperature on the set. Things.
How do we feel about Henry Winkler?
I wish he would have been in it longer.
Yeah.
Anything he does is good. My favorite role he's ever done, Arrested Development.
I never watched a lot of that.
Oh God, it's hilarious. That show is hilarious, and he's the lawyer.
Yeah,
and he's an idiot, and it's hilarious.
And Wes Craven as dressed up as Freddy
I did like that.
as the janitor.
Well, let's talk into that a little bit. So not the Wes Craven aspect so much, just the amount of call-outs to different movies in this movie. Like, that's a big thing for me.
That's a big thing.
I love how there's a realism about this. When they do that, because, all right, I'm going to get really deep here. So you've got Freddy, you've got Jason, you've got Michael Myers. Michael Myers, Jason, start out human, first movies, and then all of a sudden we go, like, kind of supernatural. Yeah, and so they go supernatural, and whereas Ghostface is always an actual person. It could be anybody. They're just putting on a different mask. Somebody's copycat, and the story keeps going, right? So that, to me, adds an element of realism to it. And then now, fast forward, you go into these kids are in a universe, or in the Screamverse, whatever you want to call it,
where Jason and Michael are films that they watch.
Yeah,
they
so
enjoy.
it's more realistic to those watching it.
Very meta.
Yeah,
very meta.
It makes you feel like it's a real situation. And then you've got Jamie Kennedy giving his rules of how to survive a horror film, and all these things come together so beautifully that it really, really executes an amazing horror film.
Yeah.
So.
Well, yeah, and you got Jamie Kennedy that works at the video store, and he goes through the rules. He's like, you never say, "I'll be right back." No, you can't have sex. You can't drink.
Hello, or who's there?
Yeah,
yeah.
You can't do drugs. You do all these things, you're dead.
Which the rules keep going up in every movie, because you've got your sequels and sequel rules and all that stuff.
You got trilogy rules. You've got reboot rules.
Requel.
Rules.
I had never heard that term used until this. And when I was doing that little search into the rules, and I was like, what the fuck's requel?
Yeah.
And that's kind of fun.
Yeah. I think what in the requel would actually be what the new series would be considered, right? Yeah.
Which they never put 5 on Scream 5, but it goes without saying.
It's just called Scream.
Yeah. So it's a weird, because when I originally looked up this movie, just to watch, it put that up first, the newer one. And I was like, wait a minute. So.
Yeah. Which I thought that was weird when they released it.
And when they did the next one, they did the Scream had the
6
Roman numerals within Scream. It was kind of.
Yeah. So, Henry Winkler, he gets killed.
I like how angry he is with the kids, though.
He is so good. Yeah.
I feel they missed a key moment here, like Paul Rubin and Buffy the Vampire Slayer moment here with him. I wish he would have gotten back up and been like, "Hey," or done something Fonzarelli. But I digress.
Didn't he do that in Little Nicky?
Did he?
He did something like that where he gets attacked by the bees. Really, it's an Adam Sandler movie.
I know, but I didn't watch that one.
Dude, how the fuck are you gonna sit here and defend Hoobie Halloween bullshit?
That was him.
I thought you were defending it too.
I liked it, but he loves it.
I love it.
But I was gonna say, if you haven't seen Little Nicky and come on.
Little Nicky's great.
Still better than I Heart Hugabees.
So one thing about this movie is
fake news.
One thing about this movie is it gets to the final act quick. Have you ever noticed that?
That's because this is one of those movies
The final act is like the last 45 minutes of the film.
Yes, but
which I really like, because you want, like, it just goes and.
But to a point of our last episode with the movie Fall, we love movies that jump right into it and get to the fucking point, and you have that with Drew Barrymore, and then nothing stops moving. This is such a flowing, consistent, great movie. You don't need to remove anything. You could have edited some stuff out. No need for it, though, because it is a perfect kind of flow, how it goes.
I mean, they literally leave the school. Henry Winkler's character, the principal of the school, he gets killed. Stu has a party. You're at the final act. I mean, it's that quick. But the final act is the last 45 minutes of the film. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say that, and so to go from the party where they're all around the movie, where he starts explaining the rules, to the actual fight scene that happens in that room between Jamie Kennedy and Ghostface, I fucking loved every second. Yeah. Like, it was such a well done scene, and you felt like it was actually like you felt like the actors were definitely method acting in those moments, because there were some full out looked like hits, and it was good.
Well, you get to the party, and they're watching Halloween, and Kennedy's he goes through all the rules, and you have Matthew Lillard looking at him and go, "Hey, I'm going to get a beer. You want some?" He's like,
I'll be back.
I'll be back. I'll be right back.
But that does show, like, this movie did to me show how good of an actor he really is. Because, like, he's an annoying punk high school kid. And then a couple
My
years.
parents are going to kill me.
Yeah, like, he's dying. My parents are going to kill you. Dude, you're dying right
good.
now.
Yeah, yeah.
He was he was over the top with a lot of
So
things.
good.
And it was great. But then you take him in his other movies, like Without a Paddle, where he's very normal. And, it does really show how good of an actor he really is, and I don't think he's really like we said, he's not.
Yeah.
I don't think he was fully appreciated for how good of an actor he really is. But with that being said, I would almost rather be his type of actor, because you're just going to keep getting roles, and everyone knows who you are, and you're doing great. There's no high on the mountain and then come down. He's always just been very even keel.
Yeah.
Keeping his shit going. Here he is, a couple months ago with Five Nights at Freddy's, and more will come. And I don't know. I just
Well, did any of you guys see his role as the husband in what's that show with the housewives on Netflix? It's not Mean Girls. It's
I've seen pictures of him in something like that, and I've never watched.
He plays like a husband, and him and the wife own a dealership, a car dealership, and the husband just is oblivious to his wife spiraling, and she starts leading like kind of a crime ring with other housewives between their friend circle, and he's oblivious when he finally gets into it. Though his character, the depth that he has, is excellent. He helps carry the role.
Yeah.
So I mean, the whole show at that one point. So I'm a fan.
So at this point, just to kind of keep things moving, Sydney and Billy go to the bedroom. She does one of the no-nos and has sex. During this time, Rose McGowan's going to go get more beer in the perfect temperature. Perfect temperature.
Rose garage door McGowan.
And she's very revealing in her clothing. Ghostface shows up, and
This is pre-Manson, too. This is before she dated Manson.
Ghostface shows up, and she tries to crawl out the garage door, and she dies by the garage door, which would never happen.
Yeah, I guess.
I mean, those things have so many.
Because she had one arm through.
Yeah,
So
it lifted her all the way
weird.
up. The ones, maybe the ones that were made back in the '60s and '70s, maybe they would have, because they was before a lot of the safety regulations.
I mean, but those, like we've talked about in previous episodes, where those are those moments where we overanalyze, and that was one of those moments where I thought the same thing, but I just let it be a movie.
Oh, I do too. Even I've always just, but it's just one of those things. It's like this isn't going to happen this way, but. Sydney and Billy get done, and who shows up to the bedroom? Ghostface.
Yes.
And slashes and stabs Billy. And Billy's all strung out with blood all over him, and Sydney runs, takes off, and
which, after this moment of vulnerability for Sydney and Billy, and her already thinking Billy was the main guy and thinking he's bad, and this moment where they have the intimacy kind of brings that full circle where she's saying, "I trust you again." Him being the person being attacked kind of helps drive that to keep the illusion going. Mm-hmm. So it's an important moment.
So there's a chase, and during the midst of all this, she Ghostface is Jamie Kennedy's trying to get back in, and he has a gun because Ghostface had already attacked Dewey and Courtney Cox's character. I believe, doesn't Jamie Kennedy's character have the gun? Or does she find the gun? Maybe she finds the gun on Dewey right there. I can't remember right now.
There's a gun in that room after the fight. Yeah.
And Stu and Jamie Kennedy's character shows up, and they're like, "Hey, give me the gun. He's the killer." They're pointing at each other. And she looks at them and says, "Fuck you both," and locks them out, closes the door and locks them out. And then here comes Billy, blood covered up all over him, and he's like, "Here, give me the gun." So she gives Billy the gun, and he says one of the greatest throwback lines of the film to me, which is
another bad impression coming.
sometimes we all go a little mad. Yeah,
That
from Psycho.
Yeah, no, that's because he's a lot of his movies quoting different various references, but that is a good one.
That was one, and that's one of the missed opportunities in the requel that I thought was missed.
Yeah, I could see where you
that line should have been put in that final scene where the main girl goes a little mad.
I wish to God that that the third one of that trilogy didn't fall apart, because I mean, I'm curious to see how they're going to play it back off, but I think the only way that we can see this come full circle or them build upon is if they bring that.
They'll have to bring Nev back. Yeah. They'll have to.
At that point, was it that point or right after? I'm drawing a blank, where he brings the voice changer over, where he's talking through it.
Yeah. Well, he lets Jamie in. And that's when he says we're all sometimes we all go a little mad, and he shoots Jamie Kennedy's character, and then here comes Stu, and Stu has the voice changer, and so you find out at that point Billy and Stu are the killers.
One of the little tidbits, and I know it's just a small moment for Billy, but his character, when he has the gun and he's talking, every line he's talking, he's treating the gun almost like it's an appendage, like it's his finger or something, because the way he moves his hand, he's just like using the gun like this, and the way it points out, I don't know why I appreciated that little delicacy, that little intricacy, that's what I meant. It was like a good subtle little add-on.
Well, and they go through the whole spiel about, why are you doing this? And he's like, well, we're doing it because it's fun. It's kind of Stu's idea of it. We're just having fun. And then Billy's like, well, maybe I'm doing it because your whore mother is the reason my mother left.
Yeah.
And Stu, Matthew Lillard's character, looks over like, what the fuck? Like, he had no clue. Yeah, he was just there for the LOLs.
Skeet with his alternate motives.
Yeah. And at this point, they're cutting each other. Skeet Ulrich's character stabs Stu's character, Matthew Lillard's character, a little too deep, and he's bleeding a lot. Well, Nev ends up kind of breaking away, and she calls the cops, but she calls them on the house phone, and she's talking to them like, hey, guess who just called the fucking police? And they're looking for her while they're on the phone with her. And this scene, and I watched, I can't remember which con it was, but it's been recently at one of the conventions where Skeet Ulrich's character actually apologized to Matthew Lillard over this scene. Do you know about this? Mm-hmm. So this particular scene, she's on the phone, and he slams the phone down, and he picks it up, he's yelling, and he throws the phone and hits Matthew Lillard in the head with the phone.
Okay.
And that was real. He really threw that. He got so excited in the scene, he really threw the phone and hit Matthew Lillard in the head.
Really?
So that's good, though. That's kind of like what I was talking about with the fight with Kennedy. Like, that seemed more real.
So at the convention this past year, they were there together, and they were joking about it. Like, Matthew Lillard got up there and was on the panel and was like, I never got a damn apology for this, basically. And Skeet got up there and was like, yeah, I'm sorry. Did this whole spiel finally apologizing to Matthew Lillard for really throwing the phone and hitting him.
Well, let's talk about that scene a little more before you go forward. The big question that everyone keeps asking is Matthew Lillard, his character, definitively dead? Which I don't feel has been. I don't know if it has. I might be wrong, but I don't think it's been answered. I don't think no one.
It's never been answered.
They've left it kind of in limbo, just so they have that to play with.
Yeah, they've left it in limbo.
So maybe maybe that could be their fish, their way to get out of the shithole they're in.
Now, I don't know if this was fact or not, but I have always heard through the years, not even recently, through the years, that same scene when he picks the phone back up. When Matthew Lillard picks the phone back up and goes, "Did you really call the cops? My mom and dad are going to be so mad." I've heard for years that was improv. That he came up with that on the spot.
Good,
and,
that's
and
awesome.
And it made it into the movie. Now, if that's true or not, I don't know.
See,
but
you know what? I love about this movie too, with those moments and things like the phone and that, and even Drew Barrymore putting her input into that beginning portion. This is this is the end of that golden era where your director's working with the actors to have moments that matter and moments that he's listening to his people, and the studio backed it. I mean, yes, there was moments that the studio had to pull some stuff away. Fine, I get it, but this is still that day and age. Now, those kind of risks and gambles people are so afraid of. Like, it's just stupid because this made for great cinematography. Yeah.
Well, at this point, just to go ahead and get the ending of the movie, Nev comes out, stabs Billy with the umbrella, like stabs him in the shoulder with an umbrella. She comes out of the closet.
You're not gonna nothing? The umbrella.
The
umbrella.
I'm trying to leave him alone on this one.
He laughed at me way too hard on the previous episode.
Yes, he did. So continue onward.
The fight breaks out. She ends up smashing. We're not going to say he's dead. Smashing Stu's head with a television, and the fight continues between her and Billy. She stabs him. I believe she stabs him at some point. Then she ends up getting the gun. She ends up shooting him. And at this point, between this point, Courtney Cox's character comes in too, and Jamie Kennedy. You find out Jamie Kennedy's still alive, and he's like, "Oh, this is when the killer comes back for one final scare," and then Billy comes back to life, and she shoots him in the head.
Yeah.
And basically, the end. You see the news reporters outside, and the cops showing up, and you see them putting Dewey into the ambulance, and the end.
Or is it?
Well, we have
we know we got more, but
5 more movies after this.
We didn't know at that time, though, so you know that was golden for me. I genuinely, start to finish, since we didn't do an initial reaction really with this one, because we know most people have seen this by this point in their lives. My overall impression of this movie has done nothing but age well, just like me. Anyway, no one, nothing. Jesus, I'm losing them. I need caffeine here. Anyways, this movie has done nothing but age well to me. Every single watch, I'm finding new things I appreciate, new intricacies, so I can get it right this time, that mattered to the film, that helped it move along. It's consistent. Wes Craven knew what the hell he's going for. He listened to his people on set. The end result was a solid horror film that is slowly, every time, like I said, it's growing well every time I see it. So every time I watch it, it becomes higher in my rankings for horror. I love this film. It's easily top 5 for me.
Yeah, it's one of my all-time favorite horror films, and I named my daughter Sydney because of this film, and because I love Nev Campbell's character, Sydney. You know, I thought she was a bit more than a final girl. She was just kind of an everyday girl, but at the same time, she's kind of a badass. And she doesn't really play the victim through the whole series. You know, she has some PTSD throughout the series, but you know, that's kind of expected. But she's not a victim. She's kind of a badass, and you know, I love her character, and she's not really so much a final girl as much as she's just a badass.
Why don't you explain, though? One thing you didn't explain was what was the big revelation about Sydney's mother? You said the cheating part, but the death. Didn't they allude to that?
Well, that Billy, Billy actually killed her mother. Yeah, we did leave that out.
So that was a huge part as well. So to me, like that strength that you're talking about with her character, the things she's been through with her mother getting killed, her father being blamed, the ridicule she's taking at school, I feel like all those things contributed to that strength she found within herself. When she
it wasn't
it
her
most.
Father was blamed for her mother's death. It was Cotton.
Oh, it's Cotton Weary.
Yeah,
That's right.
Cotton Weary.
That's a name we didn't even mention.
Yeah,
we weren't really
yeah.
talking about Cotton Weary. He's
his part's very minor in the film, though. Like, he doesn't really show up until the second one.
Right.
So,
but he's still the blamed person,
yeah.
and Courtney Cox is fixated on him, too. So this is the reason he got blamed, really. Yeah.
What about you, James?
I actually enjoyed the movie. I need to, I think, watch more of the other ones. I need to, I only watched this one a few times in my life. I don't think I've even watched anything past that until, the one, was that a year or two ago?
Yeah.
I saw that one just because Heather wanted to watch it. And I didn't really have any flaws with it. I didn't have any problems with it. I thought they did a really good job keeping it moving. I do like how the last 45 minutes is just the end, but it's just constant something happening.
Yeah. Well, fun fact about that, and I did write down a few fun facts. There's a ton of fun facts for this film, obviously, because at this point it's 20-some years old. A lot of people have found a bunch of stuff out about it. So the last 45 minutes of the film is in the final act. It took them 21 days, 21 nights to film the final act.
Wow.
The actors started making a joke about it that it was the longest night in horror because it took them so long to film the final act because it was 45 minutes long. The guy who wrote this story, and I don't remember his name, and I didn't write it now. He originally wrote this script. Wasn't even a script. He wrote it as like a short story about, and it was inspired by the Gainesville Ripper. So he wrote about the Gainesville Ripper that happened in Florida, where he killed a bunch of, I think it was college girls. It was like they were all blonde. I do remember they were all young girls. The original title, you know what the original title of this movie was? Scary Movie. It was originally titled.
That's probably why they did what they did.
Yeah,
then.
It was originally titled Scary Movie, and the studio heads of the studio said that sounds like it's a comedy. It doesn't sound like it's actually a
Scary Movie. Any of its imperfections, anything that's wrong with it, all went away when he used my good hand. Everything in life was good at that moment.
The final last one I wrote down. Wes Craven turned down this film twice before he finally took it because he wanted to get away.
Why did he change his mind?
He wanted to get away from horror, and so he turned it down twice. He finally, from what I was reading, it seemed like he had not really even read the script. But after he read the script, he was like, he decided to come on board.
Hold on, there's one. I had one little tidbit too, but I got to find my spiel on it. So Wes Craven, a bulk of this movie has a great underlying influence from Halloween. So even the movie it's playing during the party is Halloween in the background. Jamie Lee Curtis, he's going through the rules, he's talking about it. But also, and I'm trying to find Scream to see the cast, there's a couple characters in the movie who the last name is Carpenter, with the intention of paying their respects to Jack.
One was named Carpenter, and there was somebody else named, there was a couple of them in there. Yeah. I knew that, and I had actually forgotten about it. Yeah,
I thought that was kind of cool, just because the respect kept going, and there's such a crazy list of quality movies that are referenced in this movie.
Yeah.
Well, this movie had a running time of 111 minutes, so kept it under the 2-hour mark.
Yeah,
which is right where we all like to be. Budget was between 14 and 15 million. What do you think it did at the box office?
Oh wow, I bet this one knocked it out of the park.
This one.
I'm gonna say 175 mil.
173.
That's worldwide.
Getting this shit down.
It was 103 domestic and 173 worldwide.
Okay.
So they didn't think it was going to do that because it came out around Christmas. It came out 5 days for Christmas. So
nobody cares about that.
Well, back then I think it did matter. Back then it was everything came out around Halloween and then all the Christmas movies came out
back then you didn't have Harry Potter that came out at Christmas. You didn't have a lot of the stuff that started doing well at Christmas.
I get where you're going with it because they're trying to, the industry's trying to push the family agenda during that time. But I feel like when those curveballs that don't belong around Christmas come out, they tend to do well because not all people want that lovey-dovey family bullshit.
Well, I mean, we got a really good Christmas movie coming this year.
Terrifier 3.
Exactly.
No, but I thought that was. I thought that got pushed to October. I don't think it's Christmas.
I think they're releasing it October 31st, but there's supposed to be a Christmas theme.
Okay, all right. Oh, so we can put it in our next Christmas editions?
We can.
All right. Nice. I think I might have a pleasant. I won't go into details at all, but I think I might have a pleasant surprise for our episode for Halloween this year. I think I got something in mind. So,
all right, ratings.
3.74.
3.749er?
Sure, why not?
Oh, yeah, it's yours. All right. This movie, as I said, start to finish, never had me ever being mad that I was watching it. Never had me upset that I was watching it. I enjoyed every aspect. I like the twists and turns of it. And I'm thinking about this from the first time I saw this. I always will try and put that standpoint in my head. So from start to finish, I was kept engaged. I was entertained. I loved every aspect of it. I could identify with them, especially when it came out, because they were our age at that time. I mean, these high schoolers were us at that time. And so it really, really was, it resonated with me fully. But now watching it as I'm older and having a different respect for horror films now, I've done this once already for the action genre. I'm going to do this once right now. This got a full 5 CineNerds for me because I feel it's the perfect horror film start to finish, even including respects being given to other horror films and giving the list of rules. There's just such a dynamic here that's just untouched, and they did it first, and they did it great.
Touche. So, to kind of piggyback off of yours,
If we get 2 5s out of this.
So this movie for me, there's horror films that I enjoy a lot more for being bloody, gory, and just being downright nasty, you know. However, what this movie did for me was there was a dead time in horror cinema.
For sure.
Before this movie came out, there was nothing really worth a damn that was coming out horror film wise, and it's very specifically slasher film. The studios were very vocal that the slasher genre was dead, and there wasn't anything like that worth a damn coming out. So Wes Craven did this film, and for me, like you, going back to the time of when I originally watched this when it was in theaters. He changed the game of the slasher genre. He made it very meta. He made it very meta without poking fun of the genre, and it worked. And it changed the game for films that came after this. This film changed a lot of thought processes for films, and for that reason alone, I will give it a 5.
Holy shit. That's the first time we've ever gotten more than one. Well, we only had one other 5 before this. So this is an impressive moment. Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. So there was a dead space where you didn't think you were ever going to get another Freddy, another Jason, Michael, any of those, and you get Ghostface, and then from Ghostface, I feel like that helped that genre kind of revitalize itself.
You would have never had Freddy versus Jason had this film not happened.
For sure, I agree. But like Samara, Jigsaw, and even I know it's more iconic and underground cult classic, but Sam, Trick or Treat.
Yeah.
Some of those characters now resonate with everyone because of this.
Or even one of my favorites that I haven't talked about a lot on this show yet, but one of my favorites, I don't think you would have had some of these films that came, because they came after Scream, which was Bride of Chucky, Seed of Chucky.
Yeah,
I mean, these films just, I don't think they would have happened.
They saw that there was still a market for it, and they went with it.
And then you have the flip side of the low-budget films that came after this. You had Leslie Vernon, Behind the Mask. You had Hatchet. You had all these other films that came out after this that I don't think they would have happened. I think this film changed the game. Now, on one side of that statement, there's you also got a lot of films like Urban Legend. The Faculty was good, but you had a lot of these teeny bopper films, horror films that.
But do you notice something about those? So with Urban Legend, it was Urban Legend. I Know What You Did Last Summer, and what was the other one you just said?
The Faculty.
The Faculty. So Faculty was a little different.
Yeah,
I'll take
Faculty,
that one out.
We'll take that one out.
But if you have Urban Legend and I Know What You Did Last Summer in there, and you look at the genre that Scream more so created, it was that meta-verse, if you will, where you feel like you're part of it. The person that's the murderer is somebody who's real. It's not a supernatural scenario, and I feel that this definitely helped pave the way for those movies.
It did. And to me, that's the one thing it did. It hurt, that for me hurt what it did. Because I enjoy the first Urban Legend, but they wasn't that good. And the same with I Know What You Did Last Summer. It wasn't that good. So you had these mediocre rip-off of teen horror films. And You would think that I, of all people, might enjoy some of the, because as much as I love exploitation films, and that's exactly what those films are. They're exploiting what Scream was. But those kind of ruined some of this series for me after Scream. But on the flip side, like I said, again, what we were saying, you wouldn't have had Freddy vs. Jason. You wouldn't have had Bride of Chucky. You wouldn't have had Hatchet. You wouldn't have had a lot of these slasher genres that came after. Because the studios thought slasher genre was dead. So,
well, we're nerding out over here, but
Yeah,
James is
hard.
falling asleep. So,
Hard. Dragging it
so
out.
we're gonna get this moving here. If you have any questions, comments, suggestions, we want to hear from you guys. So 3cinenerds@gmail.com is our email. You can always contact us with. Also, if you want to find out where you can stream our podcast and listen to us or even watch, whatever your pleasure is, please go to our Facebook bio. You can check out all those platforms there, as well as our merch store. And more recently, I don't even know if it's on the links yet, but we have an Instagram too.
I have not put it on there. I didn't know if you put it on there, but I can drop it in there.
I can too. But check us out on Instagram, please. We're going to try and keep everything moving along here so that all platforms are covered, so you guys can get your dose.
I was thinking about making us an X account too, Twitter.
Ooh.
So we might need to. That might be coming soon.
haven't
So
even
yeah,
used that app in 10 years.
keep an eye on the.
I'm going to have to go into my secondary account that no one knows so that I can troll people. No, I'm just kidding.
So yeah, I had thought about making one of those. So those links will be added to the link tree, and always click like, share, comment, invite your friends to the page, invite your friends to the YouTube channel. If you would, please go to our Spotify, our Apple.
Leave a review.
Leave a review. And actually, if you're watching this on YouTube, go give us a follow on Spotify or Apple if you use those, whatever your preference is, so we can gain some followers. And write a review, even if you're not listening on those channels. Write a review for us on those channels. So yeah,
We thoroughly enjoy what we're doing here, and we thoroughly enjoy movies, obviously. We hope you guys do too. And the only way we can keep going forward is with those kind of things, sharing and helping us out. So we appreciate it immensely.
See ya.
CineNerds out.
bye.